The box hit the marble floor with a crack. "Are you kidding me right now?" Victoria Ashford stood in the doorway of her penthouse, arms crossed, glaring at the man in the delivery uniform. He was already kneeling, picking up scattered documents from the broken package. "I'm sorry, ma'am. The box was damaged in transit. I don't care about your excuses." She stepped closer, her Louboutins clicking sharply. "Do you know how much those documents are worth? Do you have any idea who I am?" The delivery man looked up, dark eyes, calm, too calm. "I'm aware," he said quietly. "Then you know I could have you fired with one phone call." He stood slowly, holding the damaged box. "You could." Something about his tone made her angrier. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Daniel." "Daniel what?" "Just Daniel." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Fine, just Daniel. You're going to replace this package personally. I don't care if you have to work all night, and if one page is missing, you'll be hearing from my lawyers." "Understood. Now get out of my sight." Daniel walked toward the elevator without another word. Victoria slammed the door. She didn't see him pause in the hallway. Didn't see the brief flash of something in his eyes before the calm returned. Didn't know that the man she'd just humiliated was worth more than her entire apartment building, and definitely didn't know he owned it. 4 hours later, Victoria's phone rang. Her assistant, Marcus, panicked. "We have a problem." "What now?" "The Langford deal, the one you've been working on for 6 months, it's falling apart." Victoria's stomach dropped. "What? Why?" "The investor pulled out just now, no explanation, just gone." "That's impossible. We had a verbal agreement." "Well, now we have nothing, and if we don't close this by Friday, the whole company is at risk." Victoria paced her living room. "Did they say anything, give any reason?" "Just that they're pursuing other opportunities." She hung up and immediately called her business partner, James. "Did you hear?" she demanded. "Just now, Victoria, this is bad. We've leveraged everything on this deal." "I know that. If we don't find another investor in 48 hours. I know, James." She took a breath. "There has to be someone. What about the Singapore group? They passed last month." "The venture capital firm in New York?" "They said we're overvalued." Victoria felt the walls closing in. Everything she'd built, everything she'd sacrificed, about to collapse because one investor got cold feet. "There's one option," James said carefully. "What?" "There's a private equity firm, Blackwood Capital. They specialize in rescuing companies like ours." "I've never heard of them." "They're discreet, very selective. But they have the resources we need. Set up a meeting." "Already done. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Victoria exhaled. "Fine, send me everything you have on them." She spent the night researching. Blackwood Capital was a ghost. No website, no public records, just whispers in financial circles about a firm that bought struggling companies and turned them profitable. The founder's name was never mentioned. Just results. By morning, Victoria was exhausted but prepared. She dressed in her power suit, red lipstick, armor. The meeting was at a private office in Canary Wharf. James met her outside. "You ready?" he asked. "I'm always ready." They rode the elevator to the 23rd floor. A receptionist led them to a conference room, glass walls, minimalist design, intimidating in its simplicity. "Mr. Blackwood will be with you shortly," she said. Victoria sat, opened her laptop, reviewed her pitch one more time. The door opened. She looked up and froze. Daniel, the delivery man from yesterday, standing there in a tailored Tom Ford suit, hair styled, clean-shaven, but the same dark eyes, the same calm expression. "Miss Ashford," he said smoothly, "thank you for coming." Victoria's mouth opened, closed. James looked confused. "I'm sorry, I thought we were meeting with Daniel Blackwood," he said, extending his hand, founder and CEO of Blackwood Capital. The room tilted. Victoria stared at his hand. Didn't take it. You were a delivery man yesterday?" "Yes." Daniel lowered his hand. "I like to see how people treat service workers. It tells me everything I need to know about their character." Victoria's face burned. James was looking between them. "I'm sorry, what's happening?" "Miss Ashford and I met yesterday," Daniel said calmly. "She was very clear about her expectations, threatened to have me fired, called her lawyers." James went pale. "I see," Daniel continued, sitting across from them. "So let's talk about your company." Victoria found her voice. "This is absurd. You set me up." "No, I delivered a package that was damaged in transit. You chose how to respond. You could have told me who you were." "Why? So you'd treat me differently?" His eyes were hard now. "The way you treat people when they can't do anything for you shows me exactly who you are." Silence. James cleared his throat. "Mr. Blackwood, I apologize for any—" "You weren't there," Daniel said. "You have nothing to apologize for." He opened a folder. "I've reviewed your company. The fundamentals are solid. The vision is strong. But the leadership—" He looked at Victoria. "That concerns me. My leadership has built this company from nothing," Victoria said coldly. "Your leadership has also created a toxic culture. I've read the employee reviews, the turnover rate, the complaints. Those are public record." Daniel slid a paper across the table. 17 HR complaints in 2 years, 10 wrongful termination lawsuits, 4 settled quietly. Victoria's jaw clenched. "You're brilliant, Miss Ashford, strategic, driven, but you're also cruel, and cruelty is expensive." "So you're not investing," she said flatly. Daniel leaned back. "I didn't say that." Hope flickered. "I'm willing to invest, full amount, better terms than your previous deal." Victoria's heart raced. "What's the catch?" "You step down as CEO." The words hit like a physical blow. "Absolutely not. You can remain on the board, keep your shares, but operational control goes to someone else. This is my company, and it's failing because of how you run it." Daniel's voice was still calm, maddeningly calm. "I don't invest in people who treat others as disposable. I invest in leaders who understand that every person matters." Victoria stood. "We're done here." "Victoria," James started. "I said we're done." She grabbed her bag and walked out. James stayed behind. She could hear his voice through the glass, apologizing, negotiating. Traitor. Victoria took the elevator down, hands shaking with rage. Who did he think he was? Some self-righteous billionaire playing dress-up to teach people lessons? She built her company through strength, through refusing to be weak. And now he wanted to take it from her? Never. She'd find another investor. She had to. But there was no other investor. Victoria spent 2 days making calls, every contact, every possibility. Nothing. The market had shifted. Risk was too high. Or maybe, she couldn't help thinking, maybe Daniel had made some calls of his own. By Thursday evening, she was desperate. James came to her office. "We're out of time," he said gently. "If we don't accept Blackwood's offer by tomorrow, we're finished. There has to be another way." There isn't. I've looked at everything. It's this or bankruptcy." Victoria's eyes burned. "I can't let him win." "This isn't about winning. It's about survival." James sat across from her. "Victoria, I've known you for 8 years. You're the smartest person I've ever worked with. But he's right about one thing. Don't. You've burned bridges, hurt people, and now when you need help, there's no one left who wants to help you." The words cut deep because they were true. "So what do I do?" Her voice cracked. "You call him, you accept the deal, and you learn to be better?" Victoria looked out at the London skyline. Everything she'd built, everything she was, about to be taken by a man she'd treated like garbage. The irony wasn't lost on her. She picked up her phone, dialed the number on Daniel's card. He answered immediately. "Miss Ashford?" "I'll take the deal," she said. No preamble, no pride left. "Good, my lawyers will send the paperwork tonight." "Wait." "Yes?" "Why did you still offer? After how I treated you, why didn't you just walk away?" Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Because your company employs 237 people. Good people who don't deserve to lose their jobs because their CEO has a character problem." He paused. "This isn't about you, Victoria. It's about them." The line went dead. Victoria sat in the darkness of her office and cried for the first time in 10 years. The transition took 3 weeks. Daniel installed a new CEO, a woman named Sarah Chen with a background in ethical leadership. Victoria remained on the board but had no operational power. It was humiliating. Watching someone else run her company? Watching them implement policies she'd always thought were weak. Flexible hours, mental health days, employee appreciation programs. Soft. All of it. But then the quarterly reports came in. Productivity up 18%. Turnover down by half. Employee satisfaction scores tripled. Victoria stared at the numbers, unable to process them. Sarah had done in 3 weeks what Victoria couldn't do in 3 years. Build loyalty. The realization was crushing. 1 month after the deal closed, Victoria got a message from Daniel. "Dinner tonight, 7 p.m. Sketch. We need to talk." She almost didn't go. But curiosity won. She arrived at the restaurant in Mayfair, feeling out of place for the first time in years. Daniel was already there, business casual, reading something on his phone. He looked up when she approached. "Thank you for coming." "Did I have a choice?" "Always." He gestured to the seat across from him. "You always have a choice." She sat. The waiter brought wine. They ordered food. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Victoria spoke. "Why am I here?" "Because I wanted to show you something." Daniel pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. A young man in a delivery uniform, smiling. "That's my brother, Thomas. He died 3 years ago." Victoria's breath caught. He was a delivery driver, worked 60 hours a week to put himself through university. One day, he delivered a package to a corporate office. The CEO screamed at him for being 2 minutes late, humiliated him in front of the whole lobby. Daniel's voice was steady, but his eyes were dark. Thomas had severe anxiety. That incident triggered something. He couldn't go back to work. Lost his job. Spiraled. 6 weeks later, he took his own life. Victoria felt sick. I'm not saying you would have driven someone to that, Daniel continued, but I am saying that how we treat people matters. Words matter. Dignity matters. I'm sorry, Victoria whispered. I don't want your apology. I want you to understand why I do what I do. He put his phone away. I test people. I see how they treat those who can't fight back. And when I find people like you, brilliant, capable, cruel, I give them a choice. What choice? Change or fail? Victoria looked down at her hands. You chose to change. That's why you're still on the board. That's why I'm having this dinner with you. You're giving me a second chance. I'm giving you a mirror. What you do with your reflection is up to you. The food arrived. They ate in silence. Victoria's mind was racing. She thought about every assistant she'd screamed at and every employee she'd fired without cause, every person she treated as less than human because they couldn't advance her career. The weight of it was crushing. I don't know how to be different, she said finally. Daniel looked at her, really looked. Yes, you do. You just have to decide that people matter more than power. What if I can't? Then you'll keep losing things until there's nothing left. Victoria felt tears threatening, blinked them back. Is this what you do? Save companies by breaking the people who run them? I don't break people, I reveal what's already broken. Daniel's voice softened. But I also believe people can heal if they want to. Do you think I can? I don't know. Do you want to? Victoria thought about the delivery man she'd humiliated, about the brother he'd lost, about the 237 people whose jobs she'd almost destroyed through pride. Yes, she whispered. I want to. Daniel nodded. Then start tomorrow. Go to work. Apologize to your team. Not a corporate apology, a real one. And then listen. Actually listen to what they need. And then you keep doing it every day until it becomes who you are instead of what you're performing. Victoria wiped her eyes. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. Good things usually are. The next morning, Victoria arrived at the office early, called a company-wide meeting. 237 faces staring at her. She stood at the front. No notes, no script. I owe you all an apology, she began. The room was silent. I've been a terrible leader. I prioritized results over people. I've been cruel when I should have been kind. I've treated many of you as disposable. She saw people exchanging glances. I can't undo the past, but I can commit to doing better, starting now. She took a breath. I'm here to listen. If you want to tell me how I've failed you, I'm ready to hear it. At first, no one spoke. Then a young woman in the back raised her hand. You fired my colleague for taking a sick day to care for her mother. She had worked here for 4 years. Victoria nodded. You're right, that was wrong. I'm sorry. Another hand. You once told me my ideas were worthless in front of the whole team. I remember, I was wrong. Your ideas weren't worthless. I was threatened by them. More hands. More stories. More pain. Victoria stood there and took it all. Every accusation, every hurt. By the end, she was shaking. But she'd heard them. Really heard them. Thank you, she said quietly, for being honest. for giving me a chance to be better. She walked back to her office, closed the door, and broke down. But it felt different from the last time she'd cried. This felt like washing something clean. 3 months passed. Victoria volunteered with the Program for Workers' Rights. Started therapy, rebuilt relationships one conversation at a time. It was slow, painful, humbling. But things began to shift. Employees started talking to her in the hallways, sharing ideas without fear. The company continued to thrive. And Victoria learned something she'd never understood before. Leading with kindness was harder than leading with fear. But it was also more powerful. One afternoon, she was reviewing reports when her assistant knocked. "There's someone here to see you." "Who?" "He says he's a delivery man." Victoria's heart stopped. She walked to the lobby. Daniel was standing there in jeans and a t-shirt, holding a small package. "Special delivery?" he said with a slight smile. Victoria couldn't help but smile back. "You're really committing to this bit." "I like to stay in practice." She took the package. "What is it?" "Open it." Inside was a small plaque. "How we treat people when they can't do anything for us reveals who we really are." Below it, inscription: "To Victoria, for choosing to change. DB." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "You did the work. I just held up the mirror." They stood in the lobby, surrounded by employees who were watching with curiosity. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria said. "Anything." "Why do you still do this? Test people? You could just invest from a distance." Daniel looked around at the bustling office. "Because my brother's death taught me that small moments of cruelty can have massive consequences. And if I can prevent even one person from being destroyed by someone's thoughtlessness, then it's worth it." Victoria understood. "I won't forget this," she said. "Any of it. Good, because the test never ends. Every day is a choice." He turned to leave. "Daniel?" He stopped. "I'm sorry for how I treated you, for who I was." He looked back at her. "I know. That's why I invested." Then he was gone. Victoria stood holding the plaque. Employees were starting to ask questions. She held it up. "A reminder," she said, "for all of us." She had it mounted in the lobby where everyone could see it. A permanent reminder of who she'd been and who she was choosing to become. 6 months later, Victoria was meeting with a potential client. A young entrepreneur, nervous, clearly out of his depth. He spilled coffee on the conference table. "I'm so sorry. I'm such an idiot." "Hey," Victoria said gently. "It's just coffee. No harm done." She helped him clean it up, saw his hand shaking. "First big pitch?" she asked. "Is it that obvious?" "You're doing fine. Take a breath. Tell me about your idea." He did. It was brilliant. Raw, but brilliant. Victoria saw herself in him, the hunger, the drive, but also the fear. "I think we can work together," she said. His face lit up. "Really? Really, but I have one condition." His expression became guarded. "What?" "That you promise me something. When you're successful, when you have power, remember this moment. Remember what it felt like to be nervous and afraid." She paused. "And treat people with the kindness you wish you'd received." The young man's eyes widened. "I promise," he said. Victoria smiled. She saw it now. The ripple. Daniel had tested her. She'd failed. He'd given her a mirror. She'd chosen to change. And now she was passing it forward, teaching someone else that power without compassion was worthless, that how we treat people defines us, that everyone deserves dignity, even delivery men, especially delivery men. That evening, Victoria got a text from an unknown number. Heard about your meeting today. Proud of you. DB. She smiled, typed back, how do you always know? I have good sources. Also, he's my cousin. You just invested in family. Victoria laughed out loud. You set me up again. I gave you an opportunity. You chose kindness. That's all you. She looked at the message for a long moment, then typed, thank you for everything. You're welcome. Now stop texting me and go celebrate. You've earned it. Victoria put down her phone, looked around her office, at the company she'd almost destroyed, at the people she'd almost lost, at the person she'd almost remained. She thought about the woman who'd threatened a delivery man's job, about the CEO who'd valued power over people, about the leader who'd confused cruelty with strength. That woman was gone. In her place was someone softer, someone who understood that true power came from lifting others up, someone who'd learned that how we treat people when they can't do anything for us reveals everything about who we really are. Victoria turned off her office lights and headed home. Tomorrow, she'd continue the work. Continue choosing kindness over convenience. Continue being the leader her team deserved. But tonight she'd rest, knowing that she'd passed the test that mattered most, not the one Daniel had given her in the lobby, but the one she gave herself every single day to be better, to see people, to treat every interaction like it mattered, because it did, every single time. Some people get tested and never realize it. Others get tested and choose to fail. But a rare few, get tested and choose to transform. What would you do if the person you dismissed turned out to hold your future in their hands? Would you double down on pride, or would you have the courage to change? Here at Hidden Billionaire Stories, we share tales that remind us that character is revealed in how we treat those who can do nothing for us. If this story moved you, ask yourself, who have you walked past today? Who have you dismissed? Because somewhere, someone is watching, and your choices are writing a story you might not want to read. The delivery man, the janitor, the server, the assistant, every single one of them is human. Every single one of them matters. Remember that. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you're tempted to treat someone as less than, you'll remember Victoria's story. You'll remember the tests come when we least expect them. And how we respond defines who we become.